Defensive Driving Course Basics. What's included in a basic defensive driving course? The contents of a defensive driving course are regulated by each state and are designed to train you based on the laws of your state. However, most defensive driving classes contain similar information. Traffic crashes. Losses from traffic crashes have both social and personal impacts. Approximately 41,000 die annually as a result of traffic collisions, with an additional 3,236,000 injuries. About 38% of all fatal car crashes are alcohol-related, with another 30% attributed to speeding. The cause of these crashes, emotional impact, and cost in dollars spent on car crashes are typically covered in defensive driving courses. The goal of good defensive driving is to reduce the risk of these accidents by properly educating students to exercise caution and good judgment while driving. Psychological factors. On the roadways, drivers have to deal with several factors that can affect their driving. Though some of them are beyond the control of the driver, psychological factors can be controlled by the driver if he knows what to look for and how to handle it. Defensive driving courses tend to focus on how drivers can overcome negative psychological factors such as unneeded stress, fatigue, emotional distress, and road rage. They also offer instructions for developing positive attitude behind the wheel and increasing your focus on driving the task. Human factors. Driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol continues to impact thousands of American drivers each year. While the specific effect of each drug on your body takes place in differing stages, the effect of drivers operating a vehicle while under the influence is disastrous. A very common component of all defensive driving courses is education about the role that drugs and alcohol play on America's roadways. Topics tend to include the state's limits as to blood alcohol level, how your judgment, inhibitions, motor skills, and sense are affected by drugs and alcohol, and the consequences of being found guilty of driving under the influence. The dynamics of a crash. Vehicle crashes are almost always a preventable result of a series of events. The combination of speed, place of impact, and size of object being impacted can determine the severity of the crash. In every accident, however, the act of one vehicle hitting another vehicle of other object is not the only collision that occur. The concept of the second collision in which a driver and the other passenger collides with the windshield, seat, or the other object within the car when not wearing a seatbelt can be just as dangerous as the initial collision. Defensive driving course address the issue of vehicle crashes and second collisions by listing the elements of a crash and illustrating how the forces of impact can be avoided or limited. Safety equipment. Approximately half of all deaths that are a result of automobile crash could have been avoided if the victim were wearing a safety belt properly. Of course, safety belts are only the most commonly thought of vehicle safety equipments. Items such as airbags, child safety seats, and headrests all serve to protect drivers and passengers and reduce the risk of injury or death in the event of a crash. Defensive driving courses offer tips on how to use these devices properly and ensure your safety when traveling the roadways. Crash prevention techniques. The key to any good defensive driving strategy is knowing how to avoid traffic crashes and recognize potential hazards before it's too late. That's why defensive driving courses tend to present a lot of information on crash prevention techniques. In a typical defensive driving course, students learn crucial crash prevention techniques that include scanning the roadway and adapting to surroundings, employing the 2-second rule for following distances, knowing your vehicle's stopping distance, being aware of reaction distance, environment hazards, vehicle the road, passing unnecessary clear distance, right of way, speed adjustments, and railroad crossings, emergencies, sharing. State traffic law. The final portion of many state defensive curriculum requirement is state-specific traffic laws. While for many students this portion serves as a mere refresher course, state traffic laws are not always known by all students, and especially in states where defensive driving courses are taken as a result of receiving a speeding ticket or other traffic violation. Relearning these traffic laws can help turn a traffic offender into a good offensive defensive driver. If you're looking for an online defensive driving course in your Texas place, you can visit funandsafedriving.com/texasdriving-defensivedriving.html.